And welcome back to Turning the Tide. We have been visiting with composer, musician Kurt Bestor. He is an Emmy Award-winning composer and an old friend and someone I think contributes greatly to the society of the world with the music that he composes and performs. And it sounds to me like you're hitting your hard drive there, Kurt.
Yes, I love technology and I hate technology all at the same time. So sorry about that.
That's okay. Now we just watched a video that was a flash mob. So why don't you tell us how on earth you got involved with something like that?
Well, thank you. First of all, let me explain to some of the people that may not know what a flash mob is. You've probably seen them and didn't know what they were. Flash mobs are kind of these secret, planned events, oftentimes music, where people show up and they just start dancing in the middle of a mall or a middle of a train station, and they've been given a head start, and it's kind of fun. Now, once you see it, you watch it, you'll know. But the piece that I did that you just saw, Ding Dong Maryland High, was commissioned by Craig Jessup up in Logan at Utah State University. And he told me what he wanted to do, and then he just left it up to me to choose the song and to do the layout. And I just had to imagine that there was bell ringers and violinists and singers, and they were all going to show up in this mall, starting one at a time. So the piece, as you heard, starts off with one voice and grows and grows. Anyway, it turned out great. The people in the mall were surprised, and now the thing's gone viral, and people around the country are seeing it.
Oh, it's awesome, and I was so excited to find it and to allow the Turning the Tide listeners and viewers to see what you do a little bit on the side there.
Well, these days, Candace, you have to do a little bit of everything. So when
You
Craig
do.
called, he had a little bit of money, and I thought it'd be fun to do. And I am always looking for unique opportunities to write music for meaningful things, memorable things, unique things. Otherwise, it gets a little boring. So I like stuff like that.
Oh, you know what? I do too. And even though I am not a great musician myself, music is what keeps me alive. And my sister goes and does the dance flash mobs. She thinks they are so fun, and they are so fun to see. I'll have to I'm not as good as she is. She's a phenomenal musician and composer like you are, Kurt. So she has a little more skill than I do.
You should do a Turning the Tide flash mob sometime.
Oh, hey, that's not a bad idea.
You've got a lot of listeners, and they can. You just kind of tell them what to do, and then show up someplace where there's a lot of people, and do something that turns the tide.
Oh man, my husband's gonna hate you, Kurt.
Now, one more thing for Candace to do.
Turning the Tide. I'm making a note so I don't forget, because I think it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Now, my last question, because I know you have got to get back to the final details of your concert tomorrow night at Abravanel Hall in Salt Lake. Just real quickly, this is what Turning the Tide is all about. None of us live perfect lives. We always have obstacles. We always have trials. We have the tough times that come that once in a while we say, this may be the one I can't get through. But, we always do get through them. Can you help my listeners to understand what has gotten you through the rough times in your life?
Well, and people oftentimes don't think I have rough times, because when they see me, I'm always on stage smiling and having a good time. But like anybody and everybody, I've gone through some very tough times. The thing that really has helped me is perspective and experience and music. My perspective as an older person now, middle-aged guy, is that, like you said, we will get through this. And even though at the moment it seems like the world's biggest problem, if you could just grit your teeth, there's going to be a silver lining, and it always comes. It really does. Secondly, I can't even remember my second point, but music takes me there. I went through some tough times a while back, and it was so hard that I didn't think I was going to emerge from the other side. I mean, I wasn't going to hurt myself or anything, but I just thought, how can I ever be happy again? But I went on a little self-imposed trip in my car, and I went up in the mountains, and I just went for a hike, and I got in touch with the beauty around me, and it reminded me that I had everything I needed in my life to be truly happy. And of course, I thought of it as music as well. As I was looking at this beautiful mountain scene that I was surrounding me, I felt this incredible beauty, and I thought, it's just it's just money. It's just this. It's just that. I mean, I think perspective that was my other one. Perspective, it's important to just keep things in perspective. I hear a lot of people just grousing about, the economy and this or that. And then I go over to Kenya to visit my family, and somebody's got one pair of shoes and they got food to eat, and that's about it, and they're happy. And so right now we might have one less car or one less TV. We maybe go on one less trip. But we're an incredible country and an incredible place we live. So perspective also helps me to realize that, why am I crying about something? People have it so much worse in other places in the world. And, that's kind of my trick, and that's how I keep myself centered.
There was a couple of things that you said there that really struck home with me. One is the tops of the mountains. That is where I go for peace and where I go to get myself rebalanced, because when you're up there, as you said, surrounded by the majesty of God's creation, there is something that helps you put it all in perspective. I'm not quite sure what it is or how it works. I just know it works every single time. And then the second thing that you said is keeping perspective of what rough times in America are like compared to what rough times in Kenya, say. My husband and I, we aren't rich. In fact, many would say, if you were just looking at our monetary situation, would say we were poor. But we live in a comfortable home, and we make it. We don't go on trips. We don't have fancy cars. We don't have any of that. But we have a very comfortable, beautiful home. And we had a family of my husband's come down from Alaska, and this young man is now a star at BYU, football star at BYU, but this is when he was very little. And they came to our very modest home, and the 5 kids walked in, and they looked around, and this young man looked up at me and said, "Auntie, you and Uncle must be very rich."
Yep.
And I thought, oh, wow. Here's my furniture and tables from Target,
Yeah. Look, you're talking to me on a computer. I know you got a cell phone.
Yes.
And you probably ate breakfast this morning.
I did.
That's a lot more than a lot of people do. So, we are lucky. It's good to keep it in perspective. We've kind of got a little spoiled in our country the last 30 years or so, where we just we enjoyed the high life. And
we had an economic boom unlike any in American history, and now with the natural cycle.
That's right. I'm fine. People are walking around with their heads and head down, and we have a great country, but more than that, we have a great world, and we're all brothers and sisters on the same planet, and we'll help each other to have all we need. But I'm more worried about the people that can't eat and the people that are dying of disease than I'm worried about whether or not I have enough TVs in my house, and that's kind of where I am right now.
Well, that's called priorities.
That's right. Anyway, it's Christmas time, and Christmas is a time where we can think about truly important things. That's why I love writing music for the season, and it's a great thing. So.
Okay, one more time, talk about your concert tomorrow night as we wind up the interview.
Well, I have my concert in Salt Lake City is at a Bravenel Hall. Perfect date for your romantic night, and it's starring Melissa Manchester, my special guest, the Wesley Bellringers. You can go to arttix.org to get tickets. I don't know how much they are because I never had to buy a ticket, but they're much more reasonable than most of the other acts. And that's the 8th, 9th, and 10th. And then I'm in Ogden on the 13th, in St. George, I believe, on the 20th, and on the 24th and 25th in Park City. And then I take a day off.
Oh, a well-earned one. KurtBestor.com. We have been speaking with Kurt Bestor, the Emmy-award-winning musician and composer. He is one of Utah's own, and you cannot miss a Kurt Bestor concert at Christmas. So go to KurtBestor.com. Get the information. And Kurt, thank you.
Thank you, Candace. You have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas and a great New Year.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
All right.
Talk to you later and good luck tomorrow night.
Bye-bye.